Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to our next speaker, Dr. Jason Mars. As a professor of computer science at the University of Michigan, the president of Jaseci Labs, and the co-founder. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to our next speaker, Dr. Jason Mars. As a professor of computer science at the University of Michigan, the president of Jaseci Labs, and the co-founder of TrueSelph Inc., Jason is at the forefront of innovation in the fields of artificial intelligence, large-scale computing, and programming languages. With a track record of founding successful companies, raising millions in venture capital, and delivering AI solutions to millions of users, Jason's expertise is truly remarkable. He is also the author of the best-selling book Breaking Bots: Inventing a New Voice in the AI Revolution, which provides valuable insights into the future of AI. Please join me in welcoming Jason Mars.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you guys today. So I'm in China right now. If you're watching this, I'm in China. And I don't know if the Green Dam and all the stuff they do to lock down communications is in effect. So I figured I'd make this presentation to you in a way where I'm certain it would be able to be available to you, even though, I've got this trip. I really wish I could have been there in person, but soon. But let me just jump right in. I'll first say welcome. This is a very important time in our history. It's a very important time to engage with technology in a completely new way. I've been working with Eldon Marks and V75 on TrueSelph. We founded TrueSelph together with the mission of bringing new kinds of technologies and experience to the betterment of everyone on the planet. And so without further ado, let me just share my screen and we'll jump right in. I want to leave with you guys a message and a story about the human condition and how we got here, and clear out some of the noise that things are moving so fast, it's easy to get lost. But in order to look forward, I think it's important to look back. And so we're going to start with a very recent history and what brought us to this point. And so I'm Jason Mars. I'm a professor of computer science and engineering at the University of Michigan. I'm also a multi-time entrepreneur working on bringing technologies to the markets and really helping to participate in the forward thrust of technology. And I've been working with Eldon on this same unified mission with a deep care for the global market and the global population. And we look forward to continuing to do good work on that front. But let's start with this graph. So this is a graph of, many have seen this before, of the last 12,000 years of human history. This is essentially since we've been industrialized. Of course, our species existed for hundreds of thousands of years, but we've been farming and we've had societies for this time period. And it's interesting to observe how the population has grown. This is going to come back. But let's focusing on this particular time period that is around 1975. When things started to change very rapidly. Computers were invented 5 years later. And this is like yesterday, right? This is 40 some years ago, 43 years ago. Before this time, we had no computers, we had no cell phones, we didn't have connections, we didn't Google, we didn't chat, we didn't email. We used typewriters. And that was in 1980. And I want you to pay attention at the compression of time as we've made world-changing, world-differentiating technology. Just 19 years later, the internet. This changed everything. Computers was huge for productivity, huge for recreation. We weren't really connected to each other. And then the internet came and everything changed again. Our world was anew again. Now we could work from anywhere. Email really came to the fore. We were connected in an interesting new way, and it created a new kind of economy. Just a few years later, we reasoned on how to sell and buy products through the internet. Amazon started to have a breakout. Google organized the internet. So the internet was the primary channel for information in 2005. Libraries started to go extinct. Book libraries started to go extinct, at least in the utility for the kind of progress that we wanted to make. This is in the blink of an eye. Just 5 years later, we had the first experiments with AI. We've envisioned this even before the computers were invented, in film, in our fiction. And we had the first taste of it with things like Siri And Google ran some very interesting experiments on vision. And we were still kind of in an AI dot bomb, right? So we recognized the dot bomb.com, right? Everyone was excited about the internet. It was a little early. Stock markets crashed, the market crashed. And then the internet came into being with companies like Google 5 years later. Well, in 2010, when we had Siri, we had a little bit of a crash, right? Everybody's expectations were really high. And then we're like, oh, we could only set timers. Not so interesting, right? And then something happened. This was the world at that time. Oh, AI, for about a decade. Siri, oh, Alexa, AI is the future. And we were really thinking about AI, machine learning, and deep learning. And then very recently, something came into being. It's a kind of deep learning, and it's generative AI. And in 2022, we had the first real creation that is the proof point, similar to the internet, post-internet.bomb. This is the .com of AI, right? The world changed in a blink of an eye, and it's only been a year. It's November now. ChatGPT was launched in November 1 year ago. And in the first 6 months, everything went crazy. This chart shows the investments in generative AI. Only 6 months, year to date. This is a June number, June 30th, 2023. This is the number of deals and the amount of investment in AI from venture capital in the US. And these are the top VC firms in the world. Indeed, in a time when everyone was conservative, the investments went through the roof. And who was investing? These investors. These names may not mean much to most folks. Sequoia, Andreessen Horowitz, Insight Partners. But these folks that had an unprecedented increase in deal flow in a short period of time after a new technology was launched. Nobody even knows as of June what to do with generative AI. Like, how does it fit into our lives? We know ChatGPT is awesome, but what do we actually do? Well, these investors are the same investors that invested in companies like Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Meta, Facebook. And those companies, those investments that were made very early by these same investors are now the top companies in the market capitalization of the world, right? These are multiple trillion-dollar companies today, and they're the most high-value currencies. You can think of a company stock as a currency. They're the highest value currencies. These are countries worth. These beat GDPs globally, companies, and they're the top of the market, beating energy and oil. And they're doing the same thing right now with generative AI. And we're seeing very savvy deals, right? Like, and I thought this was savvy at the time. I mean, at the beginning of this year, this one transformative year, at the beginning of the year, the first thing Microsoft did was spend $10 billion, get exclusive rights to monetize OpenAI's ChatGPT and other related technologies. I thought it was savvy at the time. A year ago, I thought it was very savvy. But now things are unpredictable because is it worth $10 billion? Is it safe to assume that OpenAI is going to own this technology and we'll all have to go there? So it makes sense to have the rights to that. It's unclear. Because what this graph shows, and it's a very complex picture, but it tells you a very fascinating story. Basically, the colored in bubbles are open source models, and the ones that are not colored in are closed source models. You can see ChatGPT is right here, right? And many of these newer models are challenging and beating GPT-4 and ChatGPT. And this is in less than a year. The post-Llama 2 era, let's call it. This world is democratizing this technology. We're wielding it for ourselves. And everyone is working on making that easy. So what now? Well, it's happening. And what's going to be important is that we keep up. We need to be incredibly savvy at this moment in time to understand how we reorganize ourselves in the face of the next internet, right? The world changed because of the internet. The world is changing right now, this year already, because of generative AI. And so you have to learn to wield these technologies today. There's something called prompting. You should go learn to prompt right now, right? Because when you have one of these models on your shoulder through your browser and with you and on all the time, it's like having a genius employee or 10 that knows many things and that can help you solve problems all the time. So we need to wield these technologies to advance the way that we work, live, and innovate. And I want to show you a very important graph. And it's a very interesting when this started happening. This is a graph that shows compensation for the hours we work versus the productivity on a societal scale. So our productivity has continued to grow, 60s, 70s. And then something happened around 1980. Remember that year? Something really interesting happened. We started to become more productive than the compensation for our hourly labor. That is a historical trend difference, right? And this was 1980 into the 2000s. What was going on? Well, computers, internet, right, was happening in that time frame. So what's going to happen in the future? This is what we're striving for. I believe it's actually in our nature as human beings to be lazy. Another way to say it is to make our lives easier. And that's why we're creating AI in a way. So how we're going to have to be thoughtful on how we reorganize ourselves and societies. Maybe universal basic income makes sense again, because maybe it's not the case that we're all going to be working in the future. How do we reorganize societies for that? It's going to be a bigger reorganization of society than other technologies, right? Everyone says, oh, well, you know, we've seen this before. There was a cotton gin, and then all of a sudden we had industrial tools to farm. So some people are out of a job, other people's got jobs. Oh, automotive industry, now we can drive. So yeah, it's a shakeup, but this is a fundamentally different shakeup. It's unlike anything we've had in society ever. We now spend most of our time behind screens when we work, or on a mobile phone, or on social media. Many of us are behind a screen most of the day. We live behind these screens. And with this particular kind of innovation, this particular kind of technology, we don't know what's real. It messes with our notion of reality. This picture never existed. The Pope never wore that jacket. The Pope is not a hip hop star. But when you look at it and we live behind these screens, we don't know what real is anymore. And so we have to be thoughtful as we engage on this journey. And just to wrap up, I'll leave you guys with that as a thought piece as you experience the possibilities as to how this kind of AI can improve our ability to work, our ability to play, and our ability to live anew and enhance our capability across these domains. You're going to see some great technologies for that. And I do want to mention Jaseci is what we work on. So there's a group of us. It's a think tank, and it's almost a research and engineering core that is fueling technologies like TrueSelph that you're going to see today. And I'm working with some great colleagues, Yiping Kong, Lingjia Tang. These are professors and postdoctoral scholars at University of Michigan. Of course, Eldon Marks is one of my closest collaborators on this journey. And we have the mission to create and invent the technologies that will advance how we code, innovate, and live in the era of generative AI. We focus on open source creations. That's creations that anyone can partake in. We care about sharing everything we learn and sharing through the means that matter to people. We care about inventing as well as understanding what these technologies can do. And we hope to provide value through our thought leadership to the world on where we're going to go next and how to do that effectively and properly. We care about engineering, research, and advancement. And with that, I'd like to say thank you guys. Have a great conference. I'm there with you in spirit, and feel free to reach out anytime. I'm always available online. Thank you guys so much for having me. Thank you so much. Yeah.